Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to 61 Marksman. With the recent changes in Marksman, Marksman has become a very competitive soul. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to spend your points and also how to play Marksman. So let's go ahead and jump into the soul allocation. So we're looking at the soul tree here. We can see that you're going to use the full 61 points in Marksman. The reason that you do this, of course, is that you have a couple abilities at the bottom of the tree that you need to make sure that you pick up. So moving over to the sub-souls here, you can see we have Ranger and Nightblade. We take 10 in Ranger and 5 in Nightblade. With 10 Ranger, you get 5 in Eagle Eye for the 5% crit chance. You get 4 in Wilderness Training for the 8% attack power and weapon damage. And then you get 1 extra point in Predatory Instincts for another 4% attack power and weapon damage. Moving over to 5 for Nightblade, you get 5 in Burning Rage, which gives you another 10% attack power and weapon damage. Moving over to the Masteries, level 61, you take Aggressive Defense here. Nothing too spectacular. You can choose to take any of the ones that you prefer. There's nothing that's going to be build breaking here. Moving up to 62, we take Adamant Resolve. This is just something that kind of helps the healers out. Again, this one is incredibly pertinent, so you can choose whichever one works best for you. Moving up to 63, take Boundless Energy. This one is very important for this spec. The reason being is that it gives you another stack of Silver Tip Munitions. Silver Tip Munitions, every time you cast a damaging ability on the enemy, it gives you a stack of it, increasing your damage by 6%. Default is 3 stacks, which gives you the 18%. However, if you have this mastery, you get an additional stack for another 6% for a total of 24% damage increase. Fairly large increase. You also get 4 energy back, or rather a 20% chance to get 4 energy back on damaging abilities, which is really helpful, especially when you're worrying about starving all the time. So really nice one to have. Moving up to 64, there's a couple different ways you can do this. I generally will take Timed Focus because in all of my parses it seems to do better. However, the scaling might be better with repetitive strikes as you get more raid gear. So currently I would take Time Focus, but feel free to play around with it and do whatever you prefer. Moving up to 65, we take Energy Manipulation. Generally on my guides, I usually recommend that you take the Planar Variation Soul Stream type of ability just because of its versatility. However, in this spec particularly, I recommend Energy Manipulation because I believe it is a DPS game. So now that we've talked about the Masteries a little bit, we'll go ahead and show you what the macros are. I only use 3. So moving on down to the macro section, you can see that I have a builder here. Cast, Shift, Calculated Shot, Cast Empowered Shot, Cast Swift Shot, and the Energy Manipulation. The Shift modifier here, I use a lot of Shift modifiers for my playstyle just because I like to keep as few keys as possible without overdoing it with the macros. So what this will do is when I hit my 1 key, it will first execute this line here. Now if I want to switch to use Calculated Shot, instead of having to move to another key, I still hit the same key, my 1 key, where this is at, but I hold Shift down when I do it. So if I hit my 1 key, it will fire my macro. If I hold Shift and then hit my 1 key, it will hit my Calculated Shot. These are some pretty important modifiers for playing Rift because it can really save you a lot of time and a lot of energy for doing abilities and keeping your UI clean. You can also use alt modifiers as well. So moving on to the finisher macro here, you can see we have Rapid Fire Shot, Deadeye Shot, and Hasted Shot. Rapid Fire Shot and Hasted Shot can both be cast on the move, but you don't want to ever cast Hasted Shot unless you are moving and you have to. So Rapid Fire Shot, when it goes on cooldown, you're going to need to stand still for Deadeye Shot, so keep that in mind when you're doing your rotation. And Hasted Shot is there to use the finisher just in case. So that's it for the macro. Oh, I do have an area of effect macro as well, which is literally just Lightning Fury and Chain Destruction. The area of effect in this build isn't too spectacular. You know, it's about on par with say what Inquisitor would be able to do with its channels, but it's nothing spectacular, but it's there in case you need it. And of course I have one more, which is just a K alert macro. Okay, so that's it for macros. Let's go ahead and jump into the abilities and buffs that I have on the bar. So moving on down, you can see we got Static Shock Munitions here. Increases the rogue's critical hit damage and healing by 5%. Also increases damage done by 15%. Moving on over to Silver Tip Munitions. This is a really important one. As you can see, it says max 3 stacks, but remember, with our mastery, we get 4 stacks. So 4 times 6 is 24, give you a 24% increase in your damage. So moving on over to Range Combat Mastery, we get an increase to range damage by 5% and also channels by 5%. One more over here, Free Recoil. If you remember from the old Marksman build, Free Recoil used to be a cooldown. Now it is persistent. Your rapid fire shots will always only consume 2 combo points, and Deadeye Shot cast time has been reduced by 0.5 seconds. So moving on over here, Predatory Instincts. This is the Ranger buff. This is the attack power and weapon damage increased by 4%. It's also worth noting that if you die, this is the only buff you're going to have to reapply. The rest of your 4 buffs over on the left here will all persist through death. And then of course we have the K alert here. Moving on down the line, I have Calculated Shot here. I never click it. It's just there to monitor it just in case I put it on cooldown. I will talk more about that in the single target section though. Right here we have Energy Manipulation. Again, you won't ever really have to click this except for when you first start fighting. So before you start on a dummy, you'll target yourself and you'll hit Energy Manipulation. Also, if you don't want to target yourself, you can make a macro that says target at self Energy Manipulation, and that way you don't have to worry about targeting yourself before, but it's not that much of an extra step, so I just target myself before. Moving over to the right, one more, we got Sentry Battery. This is going to be the top DPS channel that you have in your build. It does massive amounts of damage, so you want to make sure that you're using it with all of the supporting buffs, such as Bullseye, Barb Shot, and all that. Okay. So moving over to the right here, also you can see this is on my Q keybind. Feel free to put that, set that up however you want. But when I do go over the rotation, I will be doing the rotation as if it was my setup. So moving over to the right here, we'll see you got Lightning Fury on the Echo key. I'll talk about some about this in the single target section about how to use this. Moving over to the right, one more, we got Eradicate, which is going to be your Purge. It purges 2 buffs. It's on an 8-second cooldown. It used to be much more powerful than this. It used to be a 3-second cooldown, and it was one of the main reasons that Marksman was required, or not required, but very, very, very desired in raids because you could purge every 3 seconds. Moving on down to the bottom here, you can see we got our builder macro here. Empowered Shot is going to be what's showing. We got a finisher macro on the second key here. Number 3 key is Barb Shot, which is going to be your dot, and it also increases the damage of your channels by 10%. Bullseye used to be a force crit. Now it increases the crit hit chance by 25% for 5 seconds. We got Strafe, which isn't used so much anymore unless you're having energy problems. More about that later. 6 is going to be your Area of Effect macro, which literally just has Lightning Fury followed by Chain Destruction. Again, pretty lackluster, but it's there in case you need to use it. 7 is going to be Static Shot, which is a root for 5 seconds. 8 is going to be your Knockback, which has some pretty good uses in some of the raids here, particularly like, for instance, Drekanoth of Fate. There's a mechanic where you have to click eggs, and if you don't click all the eggs, then these blobs will follow you outside the portal, and you need to burn them down as fast as you can because they hit like trucks. So if they start coming, they're pretty slow. You can target them and knock them back away from the raid so that you have time to kill them before they start wiping people. So it does have limited uses in PvE. However, this right here is primarily going to be a PvP setup or a PvP game. Moving over to the right, we got On the Double. On the Double gives you a 50% increase in speed for 5 seconds. The other part of On the Double is when you do click it, it does give you a nice little shield now with your 61 point in Marksman. So pretty good stuff there. Not as awesome in PvP. The shield itself gets seriously reduced. But it is a nice little mitigator. Moving over to the right, if you've watched any of my guides before, you know that I keep my interrupt on my 0 key, and I keybind it to my middle click for easy access. Feel free to do that or any other combination that you like. One more to the right, we see we got Retreat. This is your leap backwards ability. Typically in PvE, I only use this to help me get places quicker. Like if you're running somewhere and you want to get there quicker, you can turn around real fast and hit it, and then keep running. Give yourself a nice little boost there. Or in PvP, you can use it for fast getaways. And of course, the last one here is Break Free. One above here, you see Crossfire. I have that there for if I use this for PvP. You can use this. It's a channel over 4 seconds there where you can kind of knock people back. Pretty cool in PvP, especially if you got somebody camping on an objective and you want to try and move them around a little bit and wake them up. So, but that's it for what's on the bars and what buffs to use and such. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the K Alerts. So if we look at K Alerts here, I only have 5. I do track my Barb Shot, the Bullseye, Sentry Battery, and then I also track Hasted Shot and Swift Shot buffs. One of the main staples of this build is that every time you cast Swift Shot or Hasted Shot, you get a movement speed buff. Well, when you get that movement speed buff and you use Calculated Shot doesn't go on cooldown. And that's the main kind of builder finisher setup that you're going to be using with Marksman. You're going to be trying to get as many calculated shots in as you can without putting it on cooldown. It's very similar to how Shaman plays. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute, but as you can see here, I got 2 calculated shot buffs here. This one right here is from Hasted Shot, and this one is from Swift Shot. I stacked them on top of each other to let me know, hey, you can cast a calculated shot right now, and it will not go on cooldown. If you look over here, I got Sentry Battery. This just lets me know when it's about to come off cooldown so I can plan accordingly. Bullseye is the same way. Bullseye is here just to make sure that I'm maximizing the DPS that I can get with it. And then, of course, we track Barb Shot here. So pretty simple setup there, and I'll include the K Alerts in the description section. So for the single target rotation, it's not a very difficult rotation to do. There's just a couple things you want to keep in mind when you're doing it. So the way that we're going to first start this out is you're going to start out by casting Energy Manipulation on yourself, and then you're going to target the boss, and you're going to start out by casting Barb Shot and Bullseye together, and then you're going to fire your Rapid Fire Shot, because you're going to have 5 combo points, and then you're going to do an Empowered Shot, and then you're going to do a Deadeye Shot, because your Rapid Fire Shot will be on cooldown at this point. And by this time, your Bullseye will be taking down to 0, so you want to make sure that you hit your Sentry Battery really fast to make sure that Sentry Battery gets the benefit from the full duration of Bullseye. So as long as you hit a channel on the last tick of an ability like Bullseye, the channel will benefit from Bullseye whether it falls off or not. So it's a pretty neat trick. You want to make sure that you definitely are taking advantage of that. So after you finish up your Sentry Battery, it's going to get you to 4 combo points. We're going to fire off an Empowered Shot, even though you're going to be wasting 1 combo point. You still want to fire this Empowered Shot, followed by moving into your finisher macro after that. So I'll show you kind of what that looks like here and show you how to kind of balance the calculated shots and swift shots here. One quick note before we start. With Lightning Fury, it's worth casting in experts and such. In raids, it's kind of a toss-up. I've heard rogues say that you need to be casting it. As long as somebody is casting that armor debuff, I personally don't cast it if somebody else is casting an armor debuff, just because it does do more damage than your standard builder, your swift shot. However, it does not proc a speed buff, so it does not let you use your calculated shot sooner, and calculated shot is worth more damage in the long run. So feel free to test this out and give me some feedback if you'd like. But in my opinion, I would not use it unless you need to use it for the armor debuff. So moving into the rotation here real quick, we got full combo points because now Marksman regenerates combo points outside of combat. So we're looking at our dummy here. We're going to go ahead and cast Energy Manipulation on ourselves. We're going to come to the dummy here. We're going to start off with a Barb Shot, Bullseye, Finisher, Builder, Finisher. Then we're going to pop off our Sentry Battery to take that Bullseye, Empowered Shot, then we're going to go into our Deadeye Shot, back to our Empowered Shot and Swift Shot, Calculated Shot, Swift Shot, Rapid Fire, Empowered, Deadeye. Then we're going to refresh our Barb, get our Calculated out, do another one of these guys here. You see how this works? It's very, very simple to play. You're trying to get as many calculated shots out of as you can. As a quick note, you can put Calculated Shot on cooldown if you want, but you need to do it during your cooldown block to make sure that it's up again when you need it, because you don't want to have it down when you're able to cast it during your regular rotation, because it's a DPS gain to have it up. So as you can see, we're pulling about 53 or so now. Nothing spectacular. I shouldn't have refreshed that dot before it ticked all the way down, but I am narrating, so sometimes it's difficult to keep track of things. You can see Bullseye is about to come back up. We're going to go ahead and pop that. Make sure we're utilizing that. Try and get this off. We're going to get it? Oh, we did get it. So, we got Sentry Battery finish, Rapid Fire, Empowered again. So you can see it's not too bad. We're still pulling about 52 over about a minute. I did a parse earlier just to kind of see where I would be at. Oh, we don't want to refresh your Barb. Just to kind of see where I would be at. And I was pulling about 53 after a 5-minute parse or so. So definitely very competitive. It's not going to be your top one. Like I said before, if you can get into melee, Nightblade Sin or Sin Assassin is going to be your best bet. But like I said before, it is very competitive now, and it definitely beats Ranger, so it's worth shelfing Ranger and learning this new spec. So that's about it, guys. If you do a good rotation and get your buttons down, you're going to be doing some good DPS. My gear is not that great on this guy. I'll post that here in a minute for you. But over 5 minutes or so, I was pulling at like 52, 53. In a raid yesterday, I was pulling a little over 60, 62-ish, I think it was, with some goof-ups because I'm still relatively new to Marksman myself. So with that, some of the tips: always let your Barb Shot fall off completely. That's pretty standard. You always want to let your dots fall off. You never want to cast your Sentry Battery without having Barb Shot up. And you also want to try and always have Bullseye up when you're casting it too. Now, since these two are both on 1-minute cooldowns, as long as you pop them both relatively close to each other, you're always going to have these both up at the same time, and that's pretty important to do. The other thing is, if you're using raid cooldowns, it depends on what your guild or your pug raid does. Some people put out their flaring power and such like 2 to 3 seconds in. Some people wait till 7 or 8 seconds in. It all depends on the skill level and the people that you're playing with. If you use the opener that I just showed you, though, you're going to have your Sentry Battery going out about 4 or 5 globals in. So if they wait till 7 seconds in, your Sentry Battery is not going to benefit from flaring power and orchestra. So adjust accordingly. You can start off by casting a Deadeye Shot instead. Put Deadeye Shot on your bar if you're having issues with that, and you can modify the rotation up. As you can see, the rotation is kind of modular. You can kind of fit things in here and there, and there's a lot of different chatter on it on the forums on how to play it. So by all means, give it a shot, play around with it a little bit. This is just meant to be an intermediate guide to get you guys started and get you pulling some decent numbers to get out there and kill some bosses. So if you have any questions, as always, please hit me up, Klepto@Deepwood, or you can also hit me up on my cleric at Callus@Deepwood, and you can also leave questions and requests on this video during comments. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah.